the main difference between royalty-free and Creative Commons typically boils down to giving attribution, right? The royalty-free stuff, you don't necessarily need to give that attribution. And then moving on to Creative Commons licenses, you do tend to have to give some sort of attribution to the original author.
A lot of times the people in the Creative Commons are maybe enthusiasts or maybe building their career and looking to get their name involved in a certain field, and it's important to them to get the credit. It's also, as we discussed, important for them to have a little control sometimes. Maybe they've got some different restrictions around the footage or the material that they want to put on it and say it's really only for use here. Because a lot of times the fees involved in a Creative Commons usage is low or none. Some
of these are free services, and you can just download something off the public domain and use it however you like. Some of them, you have to you can use them in commercial settings, and others you can't use in commercial settings. And again, there's a whole bunch of different flavors of Creative Commons. So let's break it down a little bit. So public domain, as we mentioned earlier, the creators have waived the rights to those works. You can use them for free. You can use them for commercial or personal use. You can modify them however you want, and you don't need to do any sort of attribution, right? These are, whether they're brand new content stock media that are entering the public domain, or this could be older stuff that has entered the public domain. I mean, you look at a recent example, Winnie the Pooh just entered the public domain, and the first thing they did was they made a horror movie around Winnie the Pooh, and that is, I think, hitting theaters either now or recently, and that is a perfect example of what can happen once something enters the public domain. Yeah,
I always knew there was a dark side to Winnie the Pooh.
Moving on from the public domain, we start getting into the actual Creative Commons, where you do need to give some sort of attribution to the original creator. The way you can think about these and breaking them down is by the commercial and the non-commercial. So if you see the last three on this chart here have NC next to them. Those are the non-commercials, meaning you can't use them in any sort of commercial setting. You can't sell the work, even if you adapt it or make derivatives of it. You can only use them in, like personal projects and things that are not of a commercial nature. For all the ones above it that don't have NC next to them, those you can use in a commercial sense. You can use them, sell them, make modifications on them in some situations. You are able to use them commercially. And the way you can tell whether you can modify something or not is you look for that ND. So if you see the CC by ND, the CC by NC ND, those mean you cannot make derivatives. No derivatives is what the ND stands for, and meaning that you can only use it as is. You can't modify it. You can't adapt it in any way. You have to use that stock media as it was produced by the original creator.
Some people want that level of control. They don't want it turned around and turned into a horror film, maybe.
Exactly. Where you see the SA, and that stands for share alike. And what that means is you are able to use it as is, but you can also modify it however you would like. Again, you have to give the creator credit for how you use it, but you are able to modify and adapt it to suit your needs. You still can make those modifications to it. But again, you got to look for the NC to see whether you can use it commercially or not. And then you can see they've got all of these icons here on the left. As long as you can, tell the difference between what these licenses do, you can always go on Google and do a quick double check to see what these icons stand for.